Black women, I don't need you strong. I need you here. I need you alive. I need you present. I need you around.
I cannot tell you how sad this story makes me and why it hits me deep. So I have been in academia since 2005 when I started my PhD journey. And I want to say my first week as a PhD student, I knew I was in trouble. My entire journey of working on my PhD in a non-HBCU was traumatic. I write about it in one of the books I've written, The Black Intellectual Tradition. I talk about it. It's just not a friendly place. And it is because of racism, especially if you're not at an HBCU, it's because of racism. You are not welcome there. That's not something that I'm just revealing. Everyone knows this. It's common knowledge. But most importantly, because Black people have been so used to just trying to survive and take care of their own bodies, we also tend to not help one another. And so this story of this academic at Lincoln University who took her life is sad because I believe there were Black people there who saw her pain, who saw what she was going through and did not help her because they felt if I help her, I could jeopardize my own favor, my own position in this space. And that was my experience. Now, some of us can look at this and make this only about Black women. And as tempting as it is for me to do that, because as a Black woman, I have found academia in non-HBCUs to be very traumatic. Whether I'm working there or attending there, I've always dealt with racism, pretty blatant racism, and I've always dealt with leadership not doing anything about it, and I've always dealt with my own people not supporting me. That is common, and I'm not the only one that feels that way. Most of us feel that way in these spaces. We've experienced going through some type of sexism or racism and try to tell someone in leadership who looks like us, this is happening to me, and that person will not help because helping or supporting or standing with you jeopardizes their own position, so they won't. It's very similar to the field slave, the house slave mentality. It definitely has made its way into academia. And I want us to process that. There are some generational things that we do as a people when we're navigating white spaces that mimic the plantation. And so what happened to her is not just because of that president, it is him, but it's all of the people who surrounded her, who knew she was going through, who did nothing, who looked away, who dismissed, or cared but were too afraid of their own position, that they did nothing. But it's not just about the Black women's experience. And this relates to what's going on with anti-Semitism, what's going on with Islamophobia, what's going on with the rash of DEI efforts that went out to all universities after George Floyd was killed. There's been kind of like these Band-Aid type ways of addressing the hate that seems to thrive in academia. And it could be because you're Black, Asian, Native, female, gay, Christian, not Christian, Muslim. If you are different, think differently than those who are the predominant force in that university or in that location of that university, you will experience hate. My question to the academic world is, how long will we keep allowing this? We're not going to address it by just only addressing her suicide and what happened to her or what only Black women go through. We will only fix this problem with anti-Semitism, what Black women go through, what Jews go through, what Muslims go through, what gay people go through, what Christians go through in academia, what non-Christians go through if they happen to be going to a Christian or more Christian-based school. Academia has this way of making those of us who may be a little bit different or different than the predominant force feel hated, feel unwelcome. How do we change that culture? How do we make universities more welcoming for everyone who's attending there or working there? What kind of conversations need to happen? What kind of interventions need to happen so that when someone is hurting or being hurt by someone there, they have a place to go to talk about it with, and that some type of action happens that brings change. I love academia. It's more good about it than not. But there's this one thing about it that is so heartbreaking because I'm a victim of it. If it weren't for my faith, my family, my friends, Howard University that I can always run to when I'm hurting, I probably would be at a very desperate place. But what about those people who don't have a place to go, who don't have someone who can help them navigate that space? How do we change academia so we stop the hate that is cultivated and thriving there?